Good evening, everyone. I'm Daniel Koroma, and it's an honor to be here with the amazing Samar. Can you please put your hands together for Samar, please? Here you go. By the way, it's okay for you to celebrate because this is a great achievement. Let me turn it back to Samar as I get situated.
Well, we want to first welcome you to the 10th anniversary of African Communities Together's Gala. This is their anniversary, and it's your anniversary. Congratulations, 10 years onward. As your MCs for tonight, we're going to walk you through a wonderful journey of celebration, of honor, of commitment, and of joy. Because the work that you do is not just for your rights and for your needs of the community, but to live in a life of joy and purpose. And each moment you all show that. Let's start with a special thank you to our drummers. Farafina Khan drummers. Wasn't that great? That was beautiful. And a special thank you to our DJ for the evening, DJ SpaceX. He will be giving you the mood all night. Thank you for him. For those of you who don't know, African Communities Together, also ACT, for those of you that have maybe a preference for acronyms. ACT was founded in 2013 by none other than the incredible Amaha Kasa. Where is our leader? Amaha is a first-generation Ethiopian immigrant organizer whose goal is to fill the critical gap in organizing and include more African immigrants in movements for justice and liberation. African Communities Together is an organization of African immigrants fighting for civil rights, opportunity, and a better life for our families here in the US and worldwide. ACT empowers African immigrants to integrate socially, to advance economically and engage civically. We connect African immigrants to critical services, help Africans develop as leaders, and organize our communities on the issues that matter.
And now, all of you know this would not happen. Because this year, the theme is igniting our collective power. I can't hear you. We're igniting our collective power. And as all of you know, it takes tremendous people to come together in order for us to be able to ignite this power. Many of you know it's challenging to run a nonprofit here in America, right? But it's more challenging to run a nonprofit among the community of color. And so therefore we want to thank our amazing sponsors tonight. And as you hear the categories, I want you to please recognize them because again, we wouldn't be here if the sponsors had not stepped up. And when I say stepped up, they actually jumped up big time. So for Amandla, which is our liberation sponsors, we want to thank Communities United for status and protection. Come on, can we put our hands together for them? And how about the Maya Foundation? Come on guys, come on, let's put our hands together for the Maya Foundation. Stofers and Patrick Family Foundation. Let's put our hands together for them. How about Universal Music Group Taskforce for Meaningful Change?
I'm going to take liberty and also recognize our additional categories. In addition to Amandla sponsors who you see here on your screen, we also have our Umoja sponsors, our Sankofa sponsors. But being a sponsor isn't that it's a donation you just made, it's an investment. We want to honor your investment and also recognize each of you. First, for the Umoja sponsors, we have Black Alliance for Just Immigration. We have the Immigration Hub. We have DoorDash. I know many of us use DoorDash, don't we? And we drive. And of course, we have supporters probably strongest for this organization as backing its founder, the Kasa family. We have our Sankofa sponsors, Change Consulting, Casa de Maryland, Forward.us, Northern Virginia Labor Federation, AFL-CIO, Unite Here International, Unite Here Local 25, Unite Here Local 23. Let's talk and give thanks to the unions and their chapters.
There you go. Yeah.
Where are the unions?
The unions are representing over here today.
All the chapters coming through. And then we have, at our third category, the Hibir Cooperation, Gala level. We have African Communities Public Health Coalition. Where's the African Communities Public Health Coalition? What you do is tremendous. America's Voice, Communities' Voices Heard, MEDA Advisors, National Partnership for New Americans, SEIU 32BJ, another union, where are you? Go. And United African Organization. Now these are our official recognized sponsors, but please remember also this organization relies on the hard work and the investment and the efforts of everyday members and community leaders like all of you in this room. So we also want to thank you for giving your all to the community.
Give yourself a big hand. Come on. Give yourself a big hand for being here tonight. Now, before we move forward, I know there's an interpretation tape. There you go. We need people who. So, announcement about interpretation.
الو السلام عليكم. إذا في أي شخص محتاج ترجمة باللغة العربية يقدر يجي يشوفني هنا وبنعطيه جهاز للغة العربية بتكون قناة أو channel A
እንደምን አረፈዳችሁ። አማርኛ ትርጉም የምትፈልጉ በሙሉ ለመያሞና ነገሯትና የአማርኛ ትርጉም እናቀርባለች። እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልን።
Thank you. Okay, there you go. Let's put our hands together. We want to make sure everyone participates in this celebration. So that's why we need to make sure people can hear what we're saying in the languages that we speak. So, there you go. Let me see where. All right. Over the past 5 years, we've had many victories. In terms of ACT, have had many victories and breakthrough. In 2022, ACT, with the help of ACT, there was a law called SIMBA, and again, this was the first law, which is an anti-immigration bond. The bill bonds people, and it was passed in New York because of the work that was done by ACT. So can we please give them a big hand for that work that they did? But also, ACT alongside with the tenants and some of whom who are here tonight. The tenants are here tonight. Are the tenants here tonight? There you go. We can't hear the tenants. Where are the tenants? There you go. Right? This is what happened. They put together a spotlight on the crisis in Virginia and build power at Southern Towers to put a halt to eviction. ACT did that in 2022. Let's put our hands for those accomplishments. But also, ACT didn't stop there. They founded a third chapter in Pennsylvania, one of the fastest growing black immigrant hubs in the country. So, as you see, ACT has been doing so many work in the community, benefiting the immigrant community. And so therefore, we want to talk about some of the recent accomplishments.
I want to do that.
There you go.
I want to do that.
There you go.
Okay, listen. You just heard all the amazing things that ACT has been committed to and the ways that your members have been mobilized. But let's also celebrate some of the recent major accomplishments, okay? Because you're going to leave tonight and you're going to remember why ACT is so incredibly critical to our organizations, to our communities, to our country, okay? I'll read this fast. Won a lawsuit eliminating the Trump administration's discriminatory passport rule, which slashed the
Well, hold on. We need people to clap for that. Come on. We can't hear you. You gotta clap. You gotta be louder than that. Actually, read it again so that they hear it really loud and clear.
Won a lawsuit eliminating the Trump administration's discriminatory passport rule.
There you go.
Extended legal legal status to tens of thousands of African immigrants through successful advocacy for the Liberian refugee immigration fairness
There you go.
and temporary protected status. Passed the Stop Immigration Bond Abuse Act of New York, our friend we just heard about. Led the campaign to stop the displacement at Alexandria's Southern Towers. Opened the chapter and launched the first African worker-owned language service cooperative and Afrolingual to revolutionize language accessibility.
That's a lot of accomplishment. Somehow.
So this is about creating the spaces that our communities need, that all Americans need, the need for service, for protection, for justice, for equality.
But why do we need those things? Why do our community need those things?
This is all about living safely, living proudly, living freely. And if you're not seen, if you're not heard, you won't be able to be living freely and under protection.
In other words, if we're not at the table, we are where?
You're on the menu. You are on the menu if you are not at the table.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have U.S. Senator Jack Reed with us, and he's being recognized as one of our Black Star celebrate. Congratulations, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel. This is a tremendous honor for me. I want to thank Daniel and Samhar for their kind words and kind introduction. And let me also recognize tonight's recipients of the awards. I really appreciate what you've done to improve the lives of the African communities across the United States, to ensure that all African immigrants have the opportunity to succeed and become leaders in their communities. And let me also recognize and thank the entire African Communities Together team for your tremendous work. Yes. The growth over 10 years, it's your dedication to this mission that has made this organization such a force for progress and change in the lives of so many African immigrants and the diaspora communities throughout the United States. In the past decade, the African Communities Together have become a key resource for African immigrant communities, providing culturally sensitive programming, critical resources to empower African immigrants to integrate socially, advance economically, and engage in their communities. And I'm delighted to see the work continues to grow and expand. Now in 3 states and the District of Columbia, African Communities Together is able to focus on community and national level services and advocacy. Now, as the senior senator from Rhode Island, I have been incredibly lucky to know the work of the African community and to work with them, particularly with the Liberian community. It spanned many decades, back to the first Liberian Civil War. At that time, as you know, many Liberians fled violence in search of peace and safety. Many settled in Rhode Island to rebuild their lives and to add so much to our community. And working with my colleagues, I have fought to ensure that Liberians in Rhode Island and across the nation had their immigration status protected and work authorization extended.
Our second honoree of the evening is none other than Dr. Menna Demessie.
Thank you so much, Samhar, Daniel, Amaha. This is a huge honor for me. I feel at home with African Communities Together. This is a huge honor to receive. It's a calling to a responsibility many of us feel in this room, in the work that we do every day. And I'm particularly honored because I come from this community. And it's so humbling and amazing to get an award from Samhar. A lot of you know me. I like to shine lights on folks in my universe that are also making change. And if you don't know who Samhar is, you should look her up, as well as all the fellow honorees here, because she's a change maker in her own right. One of the things I do as a political scientist is be intentional about writing the names and telling the stories, especially of African people, because as a diaspora, we tend to be invisible because people haven't really figured out who we are and what we're about. But we know what we're about, and we've been here making the change we want to see. So when the US government was trying to find a pathway for African diaspora and wondering where to go and who to consult, they looked to Samhar because she founded Diaspora African Women's Network, when a lot of people weren't looking to cultivate a space for African women. And I feel grateful to be part of that network, as well as my family, friends, all the doctors, Dr. Patrice Howard, Dr. Niambi Carter, Dr. Chanetta Jones, Dr. Najwa El-Borkadi that are here along with my family, because the work they're doing is so critical to forwarding Black people as a whole. So one thing I have to say is that I have seen Amaha's vision go from an idea to a reality. And what he's accomplished with a great team behind him in 10 years is unreal. I want you all to be messengers and ambassadors of African communities together. Those of us at Universal Music Group, we get it. I'm working with labels like Republic Records, Motown, Interscope, Def Jam. These music executives are trying to create spaces for African immigrants and also for the Black community and Brown community, because we know the power of culture and music to shape artistry, and we also know the power of a lot of people in this room. And so if you look around, you'll see that a lot of us are actually to the left and the right in these spaces making change. I want to thank Senator Reid. We need champions of change like you who recognize us, who say our names. Thank you. I will continue to be uplifted by all the work everybody does here. And you know, I did a dissertation, which you can read in there. The reason I'm mentioning it is because in 2010 when I finished, and I'm a proud Wolverine, so go blue every day, go blue. But I will say that it was very difficult to make a case for the fact that I was doing an empirical analysis on the African diaspora. Why? Because when it comes to data, we were made invisible. And so I kept being told, well, you know, that sounds like a great dissertation idea, but the statistics don't really show the significance of the African community in the United States. And I said, I know, you know, I'm telling you, if you actually let me do the research and data, I'll show you and tell you the stories of people like Senator Reid, people like the former Congressman Mike Honda, who created the Ethiopian American Caucus, the Sudan Caucus, where, you know, so many activity is happening where members of Congress understand the power of the African diaspora. So my role is to tell that story. But I hope all of us leave this room tonight knowing the names of all the fellow honorees, knowing what we do, knowing each other. I want to know everybody in this room so I can write about you and publish about you. But to really understand this moment is ours for the taking, we don't want to miss it. We have a country that is starting to recognize the power of diaspora in the United States, as well as the power of the African continent that they've been sleeping on, but we are from there, right? So everybody needs to start organizing now. We need to be on the front lines of our own people, dictating policy change, economic empowerment, and following examples like African communities together. Yes, my sister gets it over there.
Dr. Uzo Ewela.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you so much to African Communities Together. The work, yeah, we should, there's a lot of applause that needs to happen, so let's applaud. The work that you do at so many levels is so important for our communities. Making sure that we're recognized, making sure that we're heard, and making sure that we're safe. And I think those things are so important, oftentimes not recognized enough. And so even as I'm accepting this award from you, and from the whole African Communities Together team, I want to make sure that we recognize you guys for all the unsung work that you do to support all of our communities here. So thank you very, very much. At the Africa Center, what we do is really trying to create that space. We're both a home for people of African descent, and we're also a platform. So we're a home because we want to create a space for people to celebrate our African creativity and feel comfortable doing that. And we're a platform because we want to make sure we have a space to raise our voices and project our voices out into this country and the wider world. So we join with African Communities Together in doing exactly that. And I thank you all for your support and for your work in raising our voices and creating spaces for us to thrive as African immigrants here in the United States. Before I step off, I also just want to thank my family and my brother who came out here to support today. For all of you who don't know, I'm DC born and bred, so it's great to be, that's right. It's great to be at home, to be able to accept this here in the city of my birth with folks from our African communities here. So thank you all very much, and more power to African communities together.
Please join me in congratulating our honoree, Priscilla Sinsky.
Wow. I have to say, this is the very first time ever that I feel like winning an award on behalf of Amalgamated Bank and Project Mercy, but in a room of Africans, of people I feel like I'm home with. So this is really, really exciting. Thank you. Now, everyone Ethiopian in the room, and maybe many of you from other countries would know that we feel a little humility when you accept something. But this time, I couldn't say no. I often do, but I couldn't say no because Amaha called me. And of course, Amaha, we're also incredibly proud of you for having this vision. You told me, really, 2001, to beginning to make it come real in 2008, and now 10 years of bringing it to life and doing such important work. Honestly, I'm just so incredibly personally proud, and I know everyone feels the same way. So I'll tell you a little bit about Amalgamated Bank. I promise it won't be long, but there's some relevance here, because almost exactly 100 years ago, a group of immigrants, this time from Eastern Europe, who were working in the textile industry, clothing workers, started a union. And pretty soon after they started the union, they realized that as immigrants, they didn't have banking services available to them. Simple banking services back then. Couldn't open a savings account, couldn't save for their children's education, couldn't get a mortgage. So they started a bank. Because they recognized the importance. In everything we do, you have to have access to capital. And they knew that was critically important. And here we are, 100 years later, still very much a labor bank, very much concerned about workers' rights and doing all we can, but also taking a position on those things that affect all of our communities. Things like guns, which the financial services industry has a role to play in stopping the illicit activity related to guns. Also, thinking about all of the things that affect the world, but affect Black and brown people more severely. So our big initiative right now is to figure out how to correct the wrongs, the mistakes that the financial services industry has made, which causes the Black wealth gap in this country, and it is significant. So that's what we do. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you.
We are proud to present the Black Star Award to Virginia Jeannie Diamond in recognition of a strong, courageous support to ACT members and in the struggles for dignity and justice. Come on guys, let's put our hands together.
Thank you so very much for this wonderful honor, which I accept on behalf of the Northern Virginia Labor Federation, which has no more important partner than the African communities together, and especially our friends over at Southern Towers, who have done such an amazing job organizing, mobilizing, fighting, and have achieved such great successes, which are so important. And this is so important because this is a community of 5,000 families, most of whom are African immigrants, who live in the largest affordable housing complex in Alexandria. So the city of Alexandria has learned from them how important it is to provide justice, to fight against corporate greed, and to organize and mobilize. So I just want to salute all of these leaders, and I also want to mention the passing of Rosalind Gadley, who was an amazing leader at Southern Towers as well. I'm so glad she's being recognized tonight because we really miss her. But I just want to say thank you so much for partnering with the labor movement in Northern Virginia, and we look forward to continuing to fight together always to achieve justice for all working people and for the immigrant communities from Africa. Thank you.
In honor of the hard work of workers and immigrants and communities, we couldn't think of anyone better than to honor the entire Southern Towers Tenant Organizing Committee and honor its fearless leader, Rosalind Gadley, who is no longer with us in physical form, but is with us every moment of the day in spirit and in memory. We want you to learn a little bit about Rosalind for those of you who weren't able to know her personally. Rosalind Gadley was a true fighter. Throughout the tenure of the Southern Towers campaign, Rosalind was always ready to step up against the injustices waged against her community. Her commitment was infectious and unwavering, and her strength and tenacity lives on in every tenant meeting, every action, and every win achieved towards the goal of preserving the dignity, respect, and safety of the Southern Towers tenant community. ACT is truly honored to name her as a recipient of the Black Star Award. Tonight, the award shall be accepted on Rosalind's behalf by her daughter, Kadia Corona. In addition to the legacy and leadership of Rosalind, it goes without saying that the Southern Towers Tenant Organizing Committee is equally worthy of recognition. In the midst of a pandemic, when many felt hopeless, the Southern Towers Tenant Organizing Committee gathered the strength to give hope to those who needed it and fought for a better life for them, their neighbors, and their families. From rallies in front of the Southern Towers management offices to meetings on the Hill with members of Congress, the committee has shown immense strength and resiliency in combating displacement and fighting for the rights of the community as a whole. For these reasons, ACT is honored to present the Southern Towers Tenant Organizing Committee with the Black Star Award for their tireless advocacy, organizing, and commitment to protecting the community. Will the committee members please come? Committee members, please come. Please come. Please come. on behalf of the Southern Towers Tenant Committee, we have asked Rosalind's daughter, Kadia, to say a few words. So I'll turn it over to Kadia Cohen.
Thank you. I prepared a few just brief remarks to stay on track because this is so bittersweet. My mom, Rosalind, passed away suddenly and unexpectedly 6 months ago. So like I said, this is very bittersweet. But she loved fighting for her community, for Southern Towers. She loved what African Communities Together stands for, giving a voice to the voiceless. So I'm so honored to be here accepting this award on her behalf. And I'm just so proud of her and everything that you all do. I'm sure that she's smiling in heaven, dancing, raising her fist. And I'm her daughter, so I'm exactly the same. But igniting our collective power together better, to provide better housing, better access to housing, critical services, and better jobs is crucial and critical to our communities. To me, it's evident that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So forever together and forward is the only way that we can go. So thank you so much, African Communities Together. Thank you, Southern Towers community. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of everything that you all continue to do and have done over the 10 years. And fight the power.
Come on, everyone, let's put our hands together. Come on, put your hands together, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is a tenant leader at Southern Towers. Today, I stand before you to express our heartfelt thanks to African community, together for the support in helping to be recognized as a vibrant community within the city of Alexandria, where a strong group of over 500 tenants members, including 35 community leaders, most of whom are African and immigrants. We are actively involved in advocates for justice, including housing and immigration. Your recognition and unwavering support serve as a testament to our commitment. And we are resolute in our determination to persist in this fight. Once again, thank you, ACT, and we are pledged to continue our unwavering pursuit of justice with the city of Alexandria, proud to be member of African Community Together. Thanks to all Trish members. Thank you.
Come on, put your hands together. These are the tenants. These are the reason why Amaha and ACT do what they do. Come on, let's hear it for the tenants, for Southern community. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not only a privilege, but it's an honor to introduce our keynote speaker tonight. Ama Kasa is someone, when you get to know him, you just have to love him. Amaha is the founder and executive director of African Communities Together. And he has been organizing professionally for over 25 years as a labor and community organizer, nonprofit director, and social entrepreneur. For 9 years, Amaha directed East Bay Alliance for a Sustainable Economy, a workers' rights nonprofit in Oakland, California. Growing it from a startup to one of the leading organizations in its field. Prior to launching ACT, Amara earned a degree from the University of California, Berkeley, and a master's in public policy from Harvard Kennedy School. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know Amaha is from Ethiopia, but really Amaha is from the African continent and the diaspora. Please rise up as I bring on stage my brother, a friend, and a leader in the African community. Amaha Kasali, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to this incredible occasion in this beautiful venue. Please join me in thanking our hosts, the workers at the Mayflower Hotel, members of Unite Here. Thank you for your hospitality. I will tell you that the Mayflower and this beautiful historic venue is a long way from the first offices of African Community Together, which only a few of you know, at 381 Canal Place in the Bronx, close to Lincoln Hospital, above the Gold Coast African Market, home to a continual order of smoked fish, and then a fair number of mice and roaches. Usually in those days, we left the mice and roaches alone and they left us alone. But I do remember on one occasion, we had one of our first foundation site visits to the offices, and there were 6 or 7, it was a collaborative fund, so there were 6 or 7 guests in our offices, and in the middle of our conversation, out of the corner of my eye, I see this roach making a beeline for our table, just headed straight for us, and I said, just pretend it's not there, just ignore it. And one of the foundation, but this roach, they knew they wanted to go back to nicer offices than us, where the foundation was. Their NPR tote bag was on the ground. They ran right into the NPR tote bag, and the foundation program officer screamed and started shaking out his bag. So you've heard about the incredible journey that we've gone on over the last 10 years, and even just over the last few years, and the incredible impact that we've had. The one that really blows my mind is the work on the diversity visa passport rule, which that rule alone excluded 8 million people from applying for the diversity visa program. So that one program, that one lawsuit, reopened one of the most important pathways to legal migration to the US to 8 million people around the world. Now, 60% of those were from Africa, but that means that 40% of those were our brother and sister immigrants from Asia, from Europe, from the rest of the world. So that is an example of the kind of impact that we have had together, igniting our collective power over the last years. So I'm incredibly proud of that. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that Southern Towers tenants stood up to the largest corporate landlord in America and brought about a halt to eviction filings. When we started African Communities Together, we could have had no idea of the challenges that lay ahead. We could have no idea that a community that had largely been invisible to policymakers and politicians would become hyper-visible as we were attacked with slurs about our countries of origin and our character and about the type of people who, in the opinion of some politicians, did not deserve to be part of the American dream. When we celebrated our 5th anniversary, we could have no idea that ahead of us lay the biggest pandemic in most of our lifetimes, and that we would have to overnight figure out how to support hundreds of thousands of community members facing unemployment, needing vaccination support, and needing assistance with survival. We do not know what we will be looking back on 5 years from now. Hopefully none of those things. Not again. But we know that whatever the new challenges that the next 5 years hold for us, that we will face them together, that we will be stronger tomorrow than we are today. And we know that we are only going to move in one direction, because we only know one direction, and what direction is that? Forward. We have a tradition, which I invite you to join me in African Communities Together. It's taken from Kwame Nkrumah, the great Pan-Africanist leader, whose personal slogan was? That's right, forward ever, backwards never. And we do it in another great African tradition, which is call and response. So I'm going to call, and you're going to respond. I will say forward ever. And you say backward never. Exactly, that one was just for practice. We'll do it 3 times, okay? We go bigger, bigger, bigger. We go stronger and we move forward, okay? Forward ever. Backward never. That was a strong beginning, but you can do better. Forward ever. Backward never. And one more time, biggest of all, forward ever.